So good morning and welcome to the reconvening of the Standing Committee meeting from June 14th, 2023. We have one bill that is open on the table, Bill 1612, and we can begin with discussion. Councilwoman Gross.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we don't need to motion to approve because it was already open last week? Correct. All right. So I want to thank the administration for pulling together a briefing for us just yesterday afternoon. It was a long discussion. I think a lot of members were able to come into the discussion in and out of the room. And so we have, I think, support, but there are a desire, I think, from our constituents and among members to kind of give it some criteria for the housing bond that would be a little bit more conditional so that the public and members know what they're committing 25 years of funding to. And as a reminder, it's been variously reported in the media, and the language in front of us is for a sum not to exceed $62,500,000 over 25 years. I think some media have been reporting it as a much lower number, some number close to that, but the language of the bill reads $62,500,000 over 25 years. And so if we are able to come to just some agreement on some broad conditions, we can embed those in the body of the resolution, and we're looking to try to do that by next week. It'll be, technically, I'm not sure, since this is last week's standing committee, but we're still on the record today if that is a 1 week hold, or if we had to put like the date of next Wednesday in a motion.
I believe if we motion to hold 1 week, it'll reappear on our Standing Committee agenda for next week. Okay. Correct, Madam President? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Madam Clerk, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm sure other members have comment, but I'll just make that motion to hold 1 week.
And I'll second.
Thank you.
Any discussion? Councilman Burgess?
So,
Turn your mic on.
Obviously, I'm in favor of this since I've been talking about it for 6 to 7 years. But since we're going to do the first part of my plan, I do want to lay out the rest of the plan to make sure that we are doing it. I will perhaps not be here when the other part comes due. What I've been talking about for the last 6 to 7 years is $60 to $100 million in money for affordable housing. This bond, and I was the finance chair, I guess, 12, 14 years ago when we started this revolving bond lending practice for the capital budget. And so I want to make sure that I'm clear as to what it is I'm proposing, have proposed, and hopefully, although I have no power to enforce it, I would hope that since they're doing the first part, perhaps they will also do the rest of it. And that is this. We need, over the next approximately 10 years, between $60 and $100 million if we're serious about affordable housing in Pittsburgh. This is the first bond lending. We will have to do another in probably 3 years and another in another 3 years, something like that. You need a minimum of $60 million to $100 million. Without that large amount of money, this, although good, will have not a great impact. Will have a great impact if it's the first of several borrowings. It will not have a great impact if it's simply, and especially if we start using it for 4%. I do realize that, having done with Mr. Lavelle the bulk of affordable housing in Pittsburgh and knowing how this works, that these numbers are somewhat surprising to people, even council members who don't regularly do this work. But that is the goal. The goal should be to have a minimum of 60, really 100, 80 to 100 is the real number over the next 10 years for affordable housing. And this should be the first of a series of bond lendings over the next 10 years to reach that amount. That's really the plan that I proposed for the last 6 years. This is simply the first step, myself and Councilman Lavelle. This is simply the first step of a multi-year plan based on both two things, based on the capital budget lending, because that's what we do with the capital budget, right? We have a series of bond lendings. But the second reason it's important is because we've already done this. We've already done this. The city of Pittsburgh has already done this. We just didn't do it for affordable housing. We did it for for-profit people. We did it for Lazarus. We did it for large corporations. We diverted property relief that should have went to homeowners, and we circumvented that money to give it to businesses. And if it's good enough to give to the wealthiest investors in the city, if this process is good enough for them, certainly it is good enough for the most vulnerable. And so I have no problem with holding it as long as we're clear that this, in me, is a moral issue. The people of the city of Pittsburgh deserve an investment significant enough to their need. And this is simply the first part of making that promise come true. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Coghill?
Thank you. And I want to apologize to the administration. I was not able to attend the briefing yesterday. I will say, I do agree with you, Councilman Burgess. I do believe if we're going to go down this road for affordable housing and trying to, tackle this problem, it's going to require a much larger investment than what we're looking at right here. And that's part of what scares me, I will tell you, with the immediate needs that this city has in other areas, many of them. I have to be more comfortable as to how we're going to spend this money. How many units? We're at, and is it going to be rental assistance? Is it going to be put towards home ownership? So maybe that was gone over in the briefing yesterday. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, I'm not quite ready to vote on this today. It's a big decision. We decide to go down this road. It's going to be many, many years and large investments that I don't know if this city is ready to take on. So I need to be more comfortable and get some answers as far as, what direction this money and how it's going to be spent. That's all for me.
Thank you. Councilwoman Warwick?
So from the briefing yesterday, my understanding is that, and I'll perhaps Councilman Lavelle could explain the technical details, but we're not able to say exactly what the money is going, like the plan will be put in place once the money is there. That said, because we are handing over $2 million every year for the next 25 years, I think that I would like to see in the agreement just some goals, and those goals can be set by the URA, right? As to what the minimum of what needs to be achieved over whatever period of time, so that if we get to, say, year 7 and we have not seen the improvement in affordable housing conditions, that this money then we can reevaluate what's going, what issues are causing that, if that makes sense. So, thanks.
Thank you. Councilman Wilson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm amendable in terms of the will of the body, in terms of the hold, but I'm ready to vote on this. I think this is important. I think we should do it. And looking forward to the vote next week then. So thank you. Oh, I should thank the administration, also the URA, for their time yesterday and all the, just your availability to answer any questions, make members feel comfortable with what what's going to happen here, and ultimately, the plan that you're laying out for the spending of the dollars, I think is a good plan. I think it'll definitely help people, and it'll give us a lot to learn from in terms of what we can do in the future better.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, Madam President?
Yeah, I just want to thank Councilwoman Gross and all the members for working together on this. I also want to thank the administration. I think everybody's trying to get to the same place. We just want to make sure whatever we're doing is right for the city of Pittsburgh and going to actually accomplish the goals that we want to accomplish. So I just want to thank everyone, but I really want to thank Councilwoman Gross, who really is working on some of the amendments. And so I just want to thank her for her leadership on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, I'll simply add that, like Councilman Wilson, I'm ready to vote today, but we'll certainly be supportive of the 1 week hold so members can become more comfortable. I would just ask of all of my colleagues that we spend the time actually working over the next week to create the amendments that need to go into the resolution, because the reality is this problem is not getting easier. The need is greater than the cash on hand. That's the unfortunate reality. And we need to be able to move this forward as expeditiously as possible. So I would just ask that we collectively work together over the course of the next week to come forward with those amendments for next week. Second round of discussion, Councilman Wilson?
Yeah, I just want to say I was a little late to the briefing yesterday because of, the obvious that we scheduled the briefing, in the sake of time because we have this vote today. But outside of the briefing, I'm sorry, I was mentioning the briefing because maybe I missed this part of the briefing, but outside the briefing, I did do some work to understand the rates in terms of the bond rate and everything, because that was part of my concern, just in terms of, taxpayer money being spent, obviously, and how we can be more mindful of that. So it looks, I'm not an expert on, the market, but it sounds like short-term rates could get better, but that long-term rates will just stay mostly the same. Probably won't get, much better in if you're going to pay on something that's greater than 10 years. So that kind of helped me wrap my head around what the situation is here and, how this is a good option right now.
Thank you. So all those in
Councilman
favor?
Lavelle,
Madam President?
I forgot to thank Dan Friedson, who's been doing a tremendous amount of work, and Councilwoman Gross's office. But I also want to thank the solicitor because she turned around and gave us a response in a very quick time period. So I just want to thank everyone. And I don't want to leave anyone out. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Coghill.
Yeah, I just have one quick question. I know Councilwoman Gross stated that 62,500,000, that's after interest, everything's paid up. And what is the principal amount that we will be using to build or for affordable housing?
25 to 35 would be possibly the max we would get
Oh, 35
in
million,
hand.
is that right? So
But it would cost us $62.5 million at
so
most.
with interest, we're paying double. Okay, pretty much. Okay, thanks.
All those in favor of 1 week hold, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The bill be held 1 week. With that, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. For the members of the public, we'll take a 5-minute recess to reconvene to our regular standing meeting.
Good morning and welcome to the regular meeting of City Council for Wednesday, June 21st, 2023. Will the clerk please take the roll call?
Reverend Burgess. Here. Mr. Coghill. Here. Ms. Gross.
Here.
Mr. Kraus.
Here.
Mr. Lavelle. Mrs. Strasburger. Here. Ms. Warwick. Mr. Wilson. Mrs. Kelsmith, President.
Here.
6 members present.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Our next order of business is to amend the agenda. Is there a motion to amend the agenda?
Madam President.
Thank you. Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda is amended. Thank you. And our next order of business is proclamations, and I and Councilman Lavelle both have proclamations to be read, to be presented. Can we begin with Austin and his family? Please come forward. Bring everyone with you. Anyone who's here with you can come forward. You can come up here. Thank you, Madam Clerk. You can come up here with me, Austin. Anyone who wants to come up can come up. Austin, his mom and dad, right here. Thank you. somebody tell Joe Orbovich about this? Did Joe Orbovich knows about this, right? Joe knows about this, right? Orbovich?
Yeah, he said he was supposed to.
Okay. So I just want to say, in the world where we hear so much about young people, when you hear something really amazing and that's sustainable and lasting, as what Austin's been doing, you really want to highlight that and let people know that there's great things happening with our young people in the city of Pittsburgh and in the communities that we live in. And Austin's one of those people, and his family is so supportive and so amazing. So I want to thank you all for the help and support you give him. And I want to thank Paul Getnick for making sure that we also knew about the proclamation. So I'm going to present this. Whereas Austin Martinelli became one of the youngest monthly donors to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital when at the age of 9 he was inspired by a patient story he heard on the radio. And whereas in December 2016, Austin pledged to his parents, Michelle and Steve Martinelli, that he would raise the funds for his monthly commitment he made to St. Jude. The first fundraiser he held was at his school, Whittier Elementary in Mount Washington, and he set a goal of $100 and collected $598. And whereas his next fundraiser, Austin's Wagon Walk, was inspired by the red wagons used by St. Jude to help them travel comfortably around the hospital's campus. In April 2017, he more than quadrupled his first collection, raising $2,500. And whereas after raising more than $5,000, he wanted to take the check to St. Jude, but was told he had to be at least 16 years of age. And he pledged to continue fundraising until he was permitted to present the check. And whereas at 16 years old, Austin finished his fifth and final walk on Sunday, June 4th, 2023. While Sunday marked Martinelli's last wagon walk, he plans to continue to raise money for St. Jude and participate in the hospital's Walk and Run in September. And whereas Martinelli has raised over $35,000 for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital since he started his journey. And those funds support life-saving research and treatment at St. Jude to help ensure the families never receive a bill from St. Jude for treatment, travel, housing, or food. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the City of Pittsburgh does hereby commend Austin Martinelli for his selfless commitment to raise funds for St. Jude Hospital to help children with cancer. And be it further resolved that the Council of the City of Pittsburgh does hereby declare Wednesday, June 21st, 2023 to be Austin Martinelli Day in the City of Pittsburgh. Can I have a motion to approve in a second?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Proclamation's approved.
I know they. I don't have a giant speech prepared like I know Mom does, but mostly I just want to thank the council, City of Pittsburgh, and just everyone that's made this possible to raise this much money. It's a great cause, and glad that we could raise this much to help all the kids. And hopefully everyone can keep raising to St. Jude. There's online donations. We're still going to keep raising. I just want to thank everyone to make this possible. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
I wrote mine in my phone because I get nervous and I want to make sure I say everything. But I'm Michelle, Austin's mom. I just wanted to thank President Cale Smith and the City Council for giving Austin such a special honor today. He's put so much love and dedication into Austin's Wagon Walk and strives to raise as much money as he can for St. Jude. The love he has for this charity is remarkable. I can speak for his father and myself and all of our family and friends that came today to show all the love and support to Austin that we couldn't be more proud of you. Your huge heart, love, dedication, and determination will get you very far in life. You are a true example of kindness, and if there was more kids like you, maybe this world wouldn't have so much hate in it. We love you so much and keep up the great work, bud.
Anybody else want to say anything? Paul Getnick? No. I think you should come. So I just want to again thank you, and I want to say if you know this family, they give so much to our community. You would know where Austin gets it from. So thank you very much for leading him and teaching your other children in the community how to give back. And when I actually coordinated the volunteers for the Ronald McDonald House and did special events for them, and I can tell you, when you do this kind of stuff, the families are going through so much. The last thing they need to worry about is funding for, vehicles and travel expenses and food and just any kind of appreciation that they have for somebody, knowing they're not alone and that somebody cares. So you've, I'm sure, touched a lot of lives, so thank you. All the members want to come forward for a photo? Did you tell them how they could donate?
I believe so.
If you want to donate, could you tell them how to, Michelle, could you tell them how to donate if they want to donate?
There's Austin's link for the walk is still up on Facebook. If anybody is interested, you can message me myself, or I can leave my number and send you the link. But his walk is still open, and any donations are welcomed.
Thank you, Paul and Jean, for coming down. Thank you, everyone, for coming down and being supportive. Councilman Lavelle.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You can do them up here if you want.
So if Mr. Sam Clancy and all those here for the proclamation could please come forward at this time. As he comes forward, I'll simply say that this morning was the first time I actually had a chance to meet Mr. Clancy. But as a Hill District native, the legacy of Sam Clancy looms very, very large, and for great reasons. He's one of the greatest athletes to come out, not of only just the Hill District, but the city of Pittsburgh. And I also want to thank Joey Diven, please come forward as well. Also want to thank the Uptown players for their participation and making this happen. We are going to have an honorary street name revealing this Saturday for Mr. Clancy. We also wanted to make sure we gave him a proclamation and recognized his achievements. So thank you all for your assistance in making this possible. Whereas Sam Bam Clancy has been noted as one of the greatest athletes to ever come out of the city of Pittsburgh. Mr. Clancy started at Old Fifth Avenue High School, leading the basketball team to a state championship as a junior in 1976. Following Fifth Avenue's closure, he went to Brashear High School and was a member of his first graduating class in 1977. A four-year basketball starter for the University of Pittsburgh Panthers from 1977 to 1981, averaging 14.4 points and 11.6 rebounds per game. Still, the only Pitt basketball player to score more than 1,000 points and grab over 1,000 rebounds during their Pitt career. And whereas Mr. Clancy was a three-time All-Eastern 8 selection, leading the Panthers to 4 winning seasons, the 1980 NIT and the 1981 NCAA tournament. He additionally played for the legendary coach Bobby Knight as a member of the U.S. gold medal team in the 1979 Pan American Games. Whereas his decorated basketball career earned him selection to the University of Pittsburgh Athletics Hall of Fame, as well as a spot on the University of Pittsburgh's All-Centennial men's basketball team. Additionally, he was named an awardee of distinction by the University of Pittsburgh Varsity Letter Club. And whereas, and this is probably the most interesting part, whereas he was drafted by 2 different professional sports leagues, the NAA's Phoenix Suns in 1981 and the Seattle Seahawks in 1982, the latter occurring even though he never played collegiate football. Clancy played 1 season of professional basketball in the Continental Basketball Association before playing 12 seasons of professional football. He was a member of the Seahawks and then returned to Pittsburgh to play for the Mullers of the upstart United States Football League, earning the franchise MVP award in his lone season of existence. Mr. Clancy later returned to the NFL as an impact defensive end for the Cleveland Browns and Indianapolis Colts, finishing his NFL career with 227 tackles, 30 sacks, and seven fumble recoveries. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the City of Pittsburgh does hereby recognize Mr. Sam Clancy for his achievements, the legacy he has built in the City of Pittsburgh. And be it further resolved that the Council of the City of Pittsburgh does hereby proclaim Saturday, June 24th, 2023 as Sam Clancy Day in the City of Pittsburgh.
Can I have a motion to approve in a second?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Proclamation is approved. Congratulations.
First, let me say I give all honor to God, who's the head of my life. I'd like to thank the City Council for pushing this through. There's a couple other guys I'd like to thank. Dre Hilliard, Mark Kerr, Joey Divins. They brought this project to me just because they been looking for our future, looking into the future, because they say our youth today from inner city do not know their past, and I appreciate them thinking about me. I just was a regular kid from the Hill District who tried to work hard, tried to go to school, and try to do the best, try to be the best mentor, try to be the best person I can be. And I thank you guys. This means right here, I would cherish this for the rest of my life. There's no award that I've ever received that means more than this, than the corner you grew up on to be named after you. Thank you.
Thank you. All members will come forward. I'll take a picture.
My husband lost them all. Almost 40 years ago, he brought a cut-off T-shirt, and he won't let me throw it away.
Oh, don't throw it away.
I literally threw it away.
Oh my God, no. Oh, so you're getting an autograph for it.
Put the Mallers number there.
Oh, he's gonna love it. He's gonna love it.
Yeah, he is. Congratulations.
Do you want me to come up with one? Want to meet him?
No, I just think that's great. You did that to Smitty. Oh my God.
He's gonna love it. Thank you so much. How good are you?
I'm Ray 3. I'm Rhonda Burnett from over in the West End. What's her name? She's right. Yeah, she's right there. And I hope we get in there. We just saw that. Sorry.
Oh, she's way in the back. Okay.
'94. Right. And then like 8 championships later, they figured it wasn't going to work.
We'll wait till Chambers clears up.
Including ours. Yeah, me and him were the same grade, man, same neighborhoods, all that.
Did you play football for them for sure?
I did not play for Seton for 1 year.
His brother played.
My brother Michael played. I can't remember Michael. Michael played. He went to East Carolina.
Yep. Pirates.
He played with Booth and those guys. A little bit younger.
Football?
So major, yeah. Offensive line. A lot of fun when we were growing up. We could go to other neighborhoods.
Oh yeah.
We listen many a night.
Party many nights on the hill.
I ran senior cup day on Sugar Cup at 8 o'clock.
See you, Joey. Whatever, man.
See you guys later. Thank you.
Yep.
He still is.
Yeah. It takes you downstairs, I guess.
Sure.
He's a good
Thank you. Our next order of business is public
His
comment.
old man was legendary. Oh, yeah. His old man.
And we'll begin with our first registered speaker, Naomi Mullen. Is Naomi Mullen online?
Here, shady trees, not shady deals in Bon Air. First, do no harm is not just a rule of medicine. Government shall not harm the people or can be held accountable. Blockbusting and infliction of emotional distress has occurred against Bon Air. Those who oppose the property owners of Bon Air do so at their own peril. Politicians and municipal employees are public servants. My husband was a dedicated employee, and his dedication should be emulated by others. The Public Schools Board of Education in Pittsburgh has zero regard for the rights of the property owners, taxpayers, citizens, and voters in the Bon Air community. We do not consent to the detrimental school building remaining in our community. We do want a green space to replace the building and improve the location. This is the least that can be done to repair the loss that has occurred. The public servants of the school board shall work with to the best of their ability. It was fraudulent to claim that the community approved apartments. The school board has proven itself as detrimental. Will you, City Council, be part of the solution? On June 20th, 2022, the detrimental Bon Air school building worsened into being a disruptive and nuisance property. We have objected to apartments or anything other than a green space to replace the school. Tear it down. The building is a magnet to youth who broke into, in addition to trespassing, but 3 of the 7 youth had to be escorted out of the building. Tear it down. Other neighborhoods have been blighted with worse. Do not allow it to happen to Bon Air. The outcry to the school board has proven futile. Put pressure on them to sell it to the city for $1. Tear it down. Now that McKinley Park is no longer part of Bon Air, we want the school to become a green space as replacement. Open deals, not shady deals in Bon Air. Even current Pittsburgh Public Schools employees have said the solution is to tear the building down to create a green space. Shady trees, not shady deals in Bon Air. Thank you.
Our next registered speaker is Dr. Ronald Lynn Miller. Dr. Miller.
United Kingdom. I'm a Global Intelligence Society U.S. National Candidate for President 2024. I can be reached at cgsii.rlm.globalintelligence@gmail.com. I'm educated, among other places, at the universities of Pittsburgh and Oxford, St. Anthony's College, the Institute of Japanese Studies. A concern of Pittsburgh City Council is to unify Pittsburghers using a dialectical sex-gender oppositionalism to validate LGBTQI identity, but not to invalidate non-LGBTQI identity. I am not anti-LGBTQ or pro non-LGBTQ identity normativity. That is the more Republican Party position on one side of this dialectic. And I am not pro-LGBTQ or anti-non-LGBTQ identity, normativity, a more Democratic Party. On the other side of this dialectic, I am anti-evidence, pro-selective evidence strategies that divide us. I am pro-evidence, review all the evidence as much as possible, strategies that unite us, seeking the best available information, using the highest level of intelligence from both sides or all sides to find tertium quid, third way, using high-level literacy, 4 languages at least, and numeracy, dy over dx, and matrix. RLM trialectical evidentialism stresses the primacy of Lizafi, Sudoku, Matematica, and Mathematik. The approach I take on sex is the sex part is genetically, biologically, scientifically normative, XY male, XX female, rigidity. More than 99% of us follow on this axis. And the gender part, cosmetically, socially, non-normative, feminine, woman, masculine, man, relativity. Greater than 99% of us choose what we want to be on that axis. Trans man is a XX female and can have a baby. We need to keep these straight, these separate, and in further discussions, this is so-called Pride Month, I will elaborate on this point.
Our next registered speaker is Chief Poma Chakmam Yahali.
Grand risings to everyone.
Good morning.
I am the Grand Inca Chief of the Onwe, Bakab Ko Hutsil Ushwi. I'm the shaman, medicine matriarch, creator of cultural oasis of 16 years in Pennsylvania and Pittsburgh's first Aboriginal American Indigenous Medicine Apothecary, Healing Space and Educational Center, and EPOP, Aboriginal American Food Forestry, Arts and Culture. I speak in the voice of my grandmothers as their heir to our ancestral lands. I, as my Olom, are the owners of the Americas by birthright, bloodline, and lineage, the same mud, the same blood. And attention, City Council, URA, and Land Bank. We demand enforcement of our Indigenous rights as it relates to our lands and resources held under unlawful occupation by the URA and the Land Bank. We have identified some coordinates traditionally owned and occupied by our ancestors, of which will be of great importance for our future generations. Are you, City Council members, executive directors, and board members going to honor your oaths to uphold our rights embedded in the Constitution at Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3, and excluding Indians not taxed? We will send correspondence yet again with details of the coordinates and land fixtures we need for our communities, engagements, and education for all people as to who we are and our stories of the Americas, in an effort to ensure our future generations will not be ignored or suffer further colonization, eugenics, or forced assimilation. We will await response after 7 days. The record will reflect all silence as acquiescence, and non-compliance is colonization and genocide. Notice the agent is notice the principal. Notice the principal is notice the agent. Notice will be sent to all parties. The constitutionality of your actions as it relates to colonization and genocide, 18 U.S. Code 1091, upon our people, upon our lands will be duly noted. There is no qualified immunity nor statute of limitations for the violations of our rights. I speak in the voice of my grandmothers. I stand to reclaim what was stolen of our future generations. They will continue to reclaim and remediate and restore what was destroyed by colonization, as we are raising them up in the truth of our stories of the many wars fought against our people by your ancestors, and of the colonization, eugenics, and genocide done also by your ancestors. I say let's move forward and work together in a peaceful manner so that all rights are respected. And I yield.
Thank you. Our next registered speaker is Sonia Saylor. Good morning.
I'm Sonia Saylor, but I do have a program to give to people that I couldn't send it over prior.
Our clerk, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
In 2012 and 2002, we were the cleanest and most livable city, was the city of Pittsburgh. In 2019, we were one of the filthiest on CBS News. And I think the major problem is the encampments, the aggressive panhandlers, the litter, the illegal dumping, the crime, and I think everything goes hand in hand. And there is some pictures in the program showing you a lot of the problems, and I do want to thank the mayor's office because they did clean up one of the encampments within like 3 weeks, which I thank you for that. It's downtown, it's South Side, it's Market Square. There's a letter in there from a lady named Terry Bell that she got punched while riding her bike going across one of the bridges. And I know that a lot of the cities are putting a red area around the city where they can't panhandle off the bridges, in the commercial districts, on the city parks. I mean, it's just becoming such a problem for the residents and the visitors, and I'm sure for you guys too when you drive around and see it. This year and this winter, when I came home from Florida, I've never seen so much graffiti in the city of Pittsburgh in my life. And as soon as you paint over it, they do it again. And when you talk to the Mount Washington people up there, they say they know who's doing it because it's the same initials, and they just let them get away with it. So I think we have ordinances on the books to handle it, but I think we need to adjust the ordinances to promote more of our city being safe and clean again. And that's why I'm sending out the programs. Because if you look at the pictures, you'll recognize it right away. And I'm hoping that you guys could clean it up more, because people can't come to council meetings at 10 o'clock in the morning because people are working. I have to go to work as soon as I'm done here. But we do want something done, and we're willing to help. You get us the paint, we'll paint the graffiti. We'll clean up the city. But we need your help. That's it. So I'm hoping that you guys will do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Could you please state your neighborhood for the record?
Excuse me?
Your neighborhood for the record.
That's Mount Washington.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And our next registered speaker is Celeste Laws. Celeste? Is she online? No. She's not in the audience? Is she in the audience? Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Please state your name and neighborhood for the record.
My name is Celeste Laws. I actually live in the suburbs in Churchill. I have worked for the past 31 years at the Pittsburgh Symphony, and in that time I have had numerous incidents of almost being hit by all types of vehicles on the corner of 6th and Liberty. The last one was a Pat bus. I was 3/4 away across the street when he barreled through a red light. Luckily, I took ballet, so I was able to leap the rest of the way to the sidewalk right in front of the Pittsburgh Police substation there. So about 4 months ago, I was reading my nicenews.com, and they had this brilliant article about painting mosaics and beautiful pictures on crosswalks. And I thought it was gorgeous. And the data suggests that a lot of the accidents have gone down, and it also promotes tourism. So I made copies of it, and I thought if you could look at it and see if you would be interested in maybe doing that in our city. Thank you.
Thank you. And Madam Clerk, can you make sure that we all have copies of everything that was distributed today? Thank you. And that's exhaust our list of registered speakers. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address City Council? Is there anyone in the audience? Good morning, Ms. Brown.
Good morning. My name is Javon F. Brown. I live at Kaylee Road, Tires up on Bedford Avenue. I am trying to stay as calm as I can, but I have a problem, and I think you don't realize the problem that I have is that Tuesday The book says Tuesday, 10 o'clock, you would have your meeting. Last Tuesday, I came and you had scheduled it. Well, I can't say what last Tuesday, but anyway, I had my grandbaby. We had came down, but your meeting was on Wednesday. Now, this time, we have the holiday on Monday. So what you're doing is that if you have a holiday on Monday, you don't have the meeting on Tuesday? Is that what it is? Because each time I came down, and I am upset that I came and you weren't here, because I believe that you should, if you're going to change it, you should say, okay, we're having a holiday, so don't come Tuesday. We'll have both of the meetings Wednesday. And I mean that you should tell us, the people that are coming here, you had promised that you would take and announce early whenever there was any deviation from Tuesday and Wednesday. You don't do that. I keep coming, and I'm going to keep coming, because I feel that you need to understand that I'm not just coming down here to talk to you. I want the citizens of the city to know what's happening in our community, because in our community, we are second-class citizens. When you say you're going to bring the new police chief to every neighborhood, but then when Ms. Gross stands up and says, such a big community, then we decided, and that was her and Peduto decided that you should have the meeting in Lawrenceville. Now, what I'm complaining about, you could have the meeting anywhere you want, but there should have been one bus. We would have to take two to get to Lawrenceville. You would have to take one bus from Lawrenceville to get to downtown. So why should we have to take two, and you don't have to do it? Why would you not take the community, the poor black community, and let us know what the policeman is about? Now, this new policeman, I'm 100% for him. And you know the reason why? Because I heard him say that he wanted to get old policemen, previous policemen, that have worked with us and have them teach the younger ones. That's what you need. I know it could be frightening going into a different neighborhood, but we are still human beings. Even though I may be dark, I'm still a human being. I want you to understand that it really hurts me when I think about my grandchild. And I really mean it when he says that she shouldn't be speaking down here. My time is up.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Are there any further speakers wishing to address City Council? Good morning.
Good morning, I'm Jacob. I'm here to talk about, which is 2 days ago we just celebrated the end of slavery in America. They celebrate that, and believe it or not, I was just fired from PNC Bank a couple months ago because I was open about being child trafficked to America from Eastern Europe when I was a little kid in 1996, and they fired me for that. I was at PNC Bank for about 10 months, during which time I was alone, isolated. No one wanted to be friends with me. They asked me, "Where are you from, Jacob?" I said, "Fine, I'm not from Ligonier. I'm from Eastern Europe." I was child trafficked to Ligonier from Eastern Europe in 1996, from Hungarian, Slovak, and Romanian parts of Eastern Europe that was destabilized, where people set up apartment complexes to manufacture children to sell to Americans. So they bought me and then adopted me, brought me here using church networks, and put me through all sorts of different things. And I'm on your streets now because that's what people do. And you're not allowed to talk about that. I was working at PNC Bank for 10 months, and I said, yeah, I'm a child trafficking survivor. And they said, don't say that. And then they fired me because I wouldn't stop saying that. So now I'm working with Pennsylvania Career Link in downtown Pittsburgh, where nobody wants to work with me because I'm a child trafficking survivor from Eastern Europe. I'm not sure which one they don't like, that I'm saying that I'm a child trafficking survivor or that I'm from Eastern Europe. Because I didn't come here willingly. My mom and dad didn't meet, fall in love, and say, let's make Jacob. People paid money to abduct extended family of Einstein in Eastern Europe, hold them captive in apartment complexes for 10, 15 years, force them to birth 13 babies to sell because people in the Pittsburgh area and Ligonier, they were buying. So I'm here like that. And so I'm at the Pennsylvania Career Link downtown Pittsburgh. I walk in the room, and I'm like the biggest, most horrible person in the room. No one wants to talk to me. Everyone's being forced to interact with me. I walk in the room and trying to give my resume to people. They like look away from me. They don't make eye contact with me. I'm the biggest loser in Pittsburgh. You can call me Jacob, the biggest loser in Pittsburgh. You can kick me in the face. Jacob from Eastern Europe. We human trafficked here as a child. We paid for him to be made. End of slavery in America. Seriously? I'm in front of you where I was eugenics made. People paid money to track down the extended family of Eastern Europe, held them captive in apartment complexes because people wanted to put them through University of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has Carnegie Mellon, University of Pittsburgh, Westinghouse, National Energy Lab. They're all buying children, using church networks as orphans. And then they use federal funding, state funding, and put them through those universities. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further speakers wishing to address City Council? Are there any further speakers wishing to address City Council? Seeing none, we'll now move on to our next order of business, which is presentation of papers. And we'll begin with Councilman Reverend Ricky Burgess, Chair of Human Resources.
No papers, Madam President.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Coghill, Chair of Public Safety and Wellness.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman Coghill presents Bill Number 1643, Resolution amending Resolution Number 321 of 2022, which authorized the mayor and the director of the Department of Public Safety to enter into an amended agreement or agreements with the Pittsburgh Public Safety Supply, Inc. for the provision of uniforms, duty equipment, and related tailoring and embroidering services for the Department of Public Safety by extending the term for 6 additional months. Costs for these commodities will vary based on departmental need. Bill 1644, Resolution amending Resolution 159 of 2023, which authorized a professional services agreement with Duquesne University for the purpose of spending grant funds not to exceed $150,500 to support the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police inside-out training program to correct the type of authorized agreement. Bill 1645, Resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in favor of Pulse Point Foundation in an amount not to exceed $6,000 for the city's share of the license fee for the annual renewal of the Pulse Point Emergency Services application. Bill 1646, Resolution providing for the issuance of a warrant in favor of Purvis Systems in an amount not to exceed $20,985 to provide a bypass timer switch for each Purvis station alerting system control unit in every fire station. And Bill 1647, Resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Public Safety to enter into a professional service agreement or agreements with the Forbes Funds to provide technical and capacity building assistance to participants of the Stop the Violence Grant Program at an overall cost not to exceed $192,300.
Councilman?
Yeah, Madam President, motion to waive the rules of council on Bill 1643.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The bill will appear on today's standing committee agenda. Thank you. And Councilwoman Gross, Chair of Intergovernmental and Educational Affairs.
No new papers, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And Councilman Kraus, Chair of Public Works and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you.
Councilman Kraus presents Bill Number 1648, Resolution providing for a supplemental agreement or agreements with Michael Baker International, Inc. for costs associated with the Boundary Street and Sylvan Trail projects, providing for payment of costs thereof not to exceed $2,514,006.81, an increase of $482,102 from the previously executed agreement as previously authorized by Resolution 262 of 2021.
Thank you. And Councilman Lavelle, Chair of Finance and Law.
Madam President?
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
Councilman Lavelle presents Bill Number 1649, Resolution amending Resolution 320 of 2023, which authorized the mayor and the city solicitor to enter into a professional services agreement with Sable and Sable LLC by substituting the entity of Sable and Sable LLC with that of Meyer, Unkovic, and Scott LLP for expert legal services in connections with the case in an amount not to exceed $20,000. Bill 1650, resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant at a cost not to exceed $30,000 to be issued to plaintiff Richard Nicholas's attorney, law offices of Joel Sandstone, in full and final settlement of litigation filed in the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Pennsylvania. Bill 1651, resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in favor of Lancelot Joseph Moncrief at a cost not to exceed $4,375 in settlement of a claim for damage to his stopped vehicle from a city police vehicle on August 3, 2022. And Bill 1652, resolution further amending Resolution Number 886 of 2021, effective December 27, 2021, as amended entitled Resolution Adopting and Approving the 2022 Capital Budget and the 2022 Capital Development Community Development Block Grant Program and the 2022 through 2027 Capital Improvement Program by reducing facility improvements, recreation, and senior centers by 6 cents, reducing facility improvements, public safety facilities by $629,475.94, and increasing slope failure remediation by $629,476.
Thank you. And Councilwoman Strasburger, Chair of Recreation, Youth, and Senior Services.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Councilperson Strasburger presents Bill Number 1653, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Parks and Recreation on behalf of the city of Pittsburgh to enter into a professional services agreement with Homewood Community Sports for community liaison services at an amount not to exceed $300,000.
Thank you. And Councilwoman Warwick, Chair of Innovation, Performance, Asset Management, and Technology.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Councilwoman Warwick presents Bill Number 1654, resolution amending Resolution Number 378 of 2017, authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Innovation and Performance to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Allegheny County to receive a regular extract of the Allegheny County Property Assessment File and to authorize an amendment to the data sharing agreement at no cost to the city.
Thank you. And Councilman Wilson, Chair of Land Use and Economic Development.
No new papers, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman. And myself, Chair of Hearings. I have one resolution. Thank you.
Council President Cal Smith presents Bill Number 1655, resolution transferring a total of $500 within the 2023 operating budget from council as a body to the Department of Parks and Recreation for the purpose of providing a donation for the Brookline Recreation Center's summer back-to-school event.
Thank you. And we will now move on to any unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business before City Council? Seeing none, we'll move on to the committees for final action. And we'll begin with Councilman Anthony Coghill, Committee on Public Safety. Do you have anything? No? No papers? Okay, it's in here. Let me go to my agenda instead. See if that's different. Thank you. Sorry, Pete, thank you. Councilman Lavelle, Committee on Finance and Law. Thank you, Councilman.
President.
Councilman Lavelle presents Bill Number 1637, reported to Committee on Finance and Law for June 14, 2023, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill 1613, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure on behalf of the city of Pittsburgh to enter into an agreement with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for airspace leasing, ownership, and maintenance obligations concerning certain pedestrian walkways and supporting structures constructed or to be constructed in the vicinity of the Glenwood Bridge interchange at no cost to the city. Bill 1615, resolution providing for the sale of certain property acquired by the city of Pittsburgh as tax sales, items A through L. Item A, 5410 Kincaid Street, B, 6992 Leamington Avenue, C. 7135 Vassar Street, D. 342 Climax Street, E. 346 Climax Street, F. 1525 Abstract Avenue, G. 315 Fairview Avenue, H. 2016 Perrysville Avenue, I. 2435 Perrysville Avenue, J. 2707 Leland Street, K. 1406 Dixon Street, L. 514 Ferrywood Street. Bill 1616, resolution repealing items or resolutions approved on various dates which authorize the sale of property in various wards of the city of Pittsburgh due to an incompletion of sale, items A through M. Item A, 1044 Premier Street, B, 415 North Graham Street, C, 123 Finley Street, D, 7146 Monticello Street, E, 7321 Ray Street, F, 2434 Berg Street, G, 716 McLean Street, H, 430 Kingsborough Street, I, 960 and 962 East Warrington Avenue, J, 1815 Rialto Street, K, 1727 Warren Street, L, 3042 Frederick Street, M, 1506 and 1509 Nobles Lane, and Bill 1617, resolution providing for the conveyance by the city of Pittsburgh of certain property having been placed for sale to adjoining property owners in conjunction with the city of Pittsburgh Side Yard Program, items A through U. A, 12 Monaca Place, B, 750 Cherokee Street, C, 210 North Fairmont Street, D, 35 Carver Street, E, 6611 Lyric Street, F, 516 Lincoln Avenue, G, 0 Paxico Street, H, 7165 Verona Boulevard, I, 1351 Montezuma Street, J, 0 Edith Street, K, 2922 Banksville Avenue, L, 2102 R Lowry Street, M, 245 East Jefferson Street, N, 0 E Jefferson Street, O, 529 Marshall Avenue, P, 118 Bascom Avenue, Q, 51 Arundel Street, R, 2716 California Avenue, S, 0 California Avenue, T, 1412 Ecker Street, and U, 324 Orchard Place.
You've heard the reading of the title of the bills. Is there any discussion on the bills? Seeing none, the bills are now ready for final action. All in favor of the passage, vote aye when their name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess. Mr. Coghill.
Aye.
Ms. Gross.
Aye.
Mr. Kraus.
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle.
Aye.
Mrs. Strasburger.
Aye.
Ms. Warwick.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mrs. Kelsmith, President.
Aye.
9 ayes, 0 noes.
Thank you. The bills having received the legally required number of votes are finally passed. And that moves us on to Councilman Coghill, Committee on Public Safety and Wellness.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman Coghill presents Bill number 1638, reported to Committee on Public Safety and Wellness for June 14, 2023, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill 1609, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Public Safety to enter into a professional services agreement with Operation Better Block for the purpose of spending grant funds in an amount not to exceed $2,145,449.82 to support the violence prevention programming in Pittsburgh Public Schools.
You've heard the reading of the title of the bill. Is there any discussion on the bill? I'm just going to add that I want to recognize that Commander Ragland worked on this program in the north side for a little bit, and they're expanding it. And although I'm concerned about the money we're spending and stopping the violence and and not seeing exactly all the results we want, I know there are groups and people out there doing really good work. So I think we just have to make sure we're monitoring this and that we're getting at least some positive results for the community, with especially the reduction of violent crime. With that said, the bill is now ready for final action. All in favor of the passage, vote aye when their name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess. Mr. Coghill.
Aye.
Ms. Gross.
Aye.
Mr. Kraus.
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle.
Aye.
Mrs. Strasburger.
Aye.
Ms. Warwick.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mrs. Kelsmith, President.
Aye.
9 ayes, 0 noes.
Thank you. The bill, having received the legally required number of votes, is finally passed. That moves us on to Councilman Reverend Ricky Burgess, Committee on Human Resources. Thank you, Councilman.
Reverend Burgess presents Bill number 1639, reported to Committee on Human Resources for June 14, 2023, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill 1624, resolution providing for an agreement or agreements with Bike Share Pittsburgh, Inc. to provide annual Pogo bicycle share memberships to any City of Pittsburgh employee requesting one and providing for the payment of the cost thereof not to exceed $35,000 over 2 years.
Thank you. The bill having received the legal, oh, I'm sorry. Is there any discussion on the bill? All in favor of the passage of the bill? The bill's not ready for final action. All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye when their name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess. Mr. Coghill.
No.
Ms. Gross.
Aye.
Mr. Kraus.
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle.
Aye.
Mrs. Strasburger.
Aye.
Ms. Warwick.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mrs. Kelsmith, President.
Aye.
8 ayes, 1 no.
The bill having received the legally required number of votes is finally passed. That moves us on to Councilwoman Erica Strasburger, Committee on Recreation, Youth, and Senior Services.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman.
Councilperson Strasburger presents Bill number 1640, reported to Committee on Recreation, Youth, and Senior Services for June 14, 2023, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill 1619, resolution providing for the designation of certain areas of public property within Shinley Park under city ownership to be formalized as a city park. And Bill 1620, ordinance amending the Pittsburgh Code of Ordinances, Title I, Administrative, Article 7, by creating Chapter 172, Citizen Petition for Public Parks.
Thank you. You've heard the reading and the title of the bill. Is there any discussion on the bill? Yes, Councilwoman.
Thank you, Madam President. This is a question for the clerk, I think. So I see that Bill 2023-1619 includes maps, but when we voted on it last week at Standing Committee, it did not have maps.
I believe that Councilwoman Warwick just submitted, or her staff submitted, copies of a map and other documents to be added as an attachment.
That's great, but you have to amend the legislation in order to do that. You can't have a change between a provisional vote and a final vote without a vote to amend.
We've added attachments after the fact before to legislation. We have done that before.
I don't think that's proper.
Okay.
Sorry, should we vote?
That's fine.
Because that's yeah, no. I would, you know, it kind of feels like you sneaking something onto members who are voting, not knowing it's there. So I think we would just need a motion to amend to accept.
We don't need the motion, Madam Councilwoman. Because there was the request for the maps during the meetings, according to our solicitor, this is okay to do, and we've done it before. And it doesn't mean it's right just because we've done it before, I know that, but.
I request that would be added into the record for this meeting that Councilwoman Gross says, and also maps are added on Bill 2023-1619.
Is the parliamentarian online?
We can have things read into the record, and I just did.
Okay, thank you, and you're good. Okay, I just want to make sure. No, thank you. Councilman?
So just in the pure sense of the function of legislation, even though at the advice of our solicitor, we can, and our clerk, it's not an unusual procedure, but I think it's certainly worth further discussion, not necessarily here at this meeting, but further discussion as to procedurally speaking, what the bill actually, any bill, actually looks like when it comes to the council for final vote. So I'd be happy to talk with you, Madam President, and our solicitor later if there's, and the clerk, if there appears a more substantive way for us to ensure what a final bill looks like. I'm happy to participate in that discussion. The councilwoman does. She's honest in raising a.
Yeah, I'm happy to make a
concern.
motion to amend.
We can't do that on a final
can't do that.
vote.
On a final vote, it has to be written.
You have to have it written, Councilwoman. But thank you for the offer.
But it's a good learning lesson.
Yeah.
It's a good learning lesson. And it's good to.
I would
talk-
just say it's not a good learning lesson when you're doing it at the table and members don't know in advance. When it comes to us, if it requires it, our clerk's office and our law department and everyone else that sees the agenda beforehand should make sure that they're informing the council members so they're not embarrassing a council member when they come to the table. But with
That's
that
not
said, I think if you, Councilwoman,
Comfortable now. Sorry, did you ask me?
no, I didn't ask. I'm
I
talking
thought
to
you asked me.
Councilwoman. So anyway, so what did you want to do, Councilwoman Gross? You want to hold it?
Oh, no.
No, what did
No
you
one
say? I
motioned
couldn't
to
hear.
hold. No one motioned to hold.
What did you say?
I asked the clerk to read into the record that the
Okay.
map was attached, and I'm assuming that's
Okay.
something that was doable.
And then going forward, I think whatever we're going to do should be consistent so that every member coming in after us will know what they're supposed to be doing. So that we're not making some exceptions sometimes and other times not.
I'm fully supportive, and I'm
Okay.
excited for Councilwoman Warwick to be adding this land to Shenley Park proper.
Yeah, I am too. Okay. With that said, the bill is now ready for final action. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Wilson, I didn't see you, sorry.
Yeah, I just, I appreciate the map being added. The only question I had was just that it references Junction Hollow, and I just wasn't, I'm not that familiar with, the park and the neighborhoods, and I just didn't know if the map clearly shows Junction Hollow, if it, outlines where that is. Should the text of the bill refer to what we're talking about in terms of the map?
So I guess I don't, the area is part of Shenley Park, right? Shenley Park is a parcel.
Yeah, the one
It
parcel.
is part of that parcel.
Yeah.
The map and the attached map is the map that was used when they added that piece of land to the parcel.
Mhm.
This bill is just saying that that piece of land is also dedicated in the same way that, I don't know, the original piece of Shenley Park is dedicated.
Okay. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I understand the whole concept of what's happening. I just didn't know technically if we're supposed to.
But the
in-
colloquial term for the strip in Shenley
Yeah.
Park is Junction Hollow. Right?
Yeah.
Like we talk about the oval or,
Oh, yeah,
the
okay.
golf course. or
Okay, well,
something. You see what
so
I mean?
like
So
it's
it's not
just-
like in the map as
Yeah.
named Junction Hollow. That's just what we call colloquial. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
I mean, once again, I'm not that familiar with the area. That's why I was just following the map, and it looks like the map clearly lays out what part. I just didn't know if technically we're supposed to put, something in the language to actually specify that Junction Hall refers to what is. I don't know. I don't know if Junction. Yeah. I should stop talking because I don't know enough about Junction
I'm just going
Hollow.
to say it references Junction Hollow in the body of the bill. And I just want to very carefully want to add that when our clerk's office, who's been here for many years, our solicitor, and others that see the agenda are okay with something, there's usually a reason. In this particular case, the reason why they thought it was okay, it's my understanding, is because it was asking for that in the legislation. Members asked for it at the table. It's just a clarification. It's not an addition. So that's why it was okay. Did I understand that correctly, everyone? Yeah, there was no change. It was just a clarification. So that's why it was okay. With that said, all in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye when their name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess. Mr. Coghill.
Aye.
Ms. Gross.
Aye.
Mr. Kraus. Mr. Lavelle.
Aye.
Mrs. Strasburger.
Aye.
Ms. Warwick.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mrs. Kale Smith, President.
Aye.
9 ayes, 0 noes.
The bill having received the legally required number of votes are finally passed. Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. And our next committee is Councilwoman Deborah Gross, Committee on Intergovernmental and Educational Affairs.
Madam President.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Councilwoman Gross presents Bill number 1642, reported to Committee on Intergovernmental and Educational Affairs for June 14, 2023, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill 1610, resolution adopting plan revision to the City of Pittsburgh's official sewage facilities plan for 5425 Bond Boulevard in Allegheny County at Lock and Block 51L177. And Bill 1611, resolution providing for a reimbursement agreement for reimbursement agreement or agreements with the Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority for costs associated with the Haverhill project, where the PWSA is overseeing the design and construction of the stormwater management components as well as the roadway replacement and rehabilitation, and has or will retain the services of a design consultant, construction management, inspection consultant, and construction contractor for the project. The city will reimburse the PWSA for this work at a cost to the city not to exceed $610,115.47.
Thank you. You've heard the reading and the title of the bills. Is there any discussion on the bills? Seeing none, the bills are now ready for final action. All in favor of the passage will vote aye when their name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Coghill.
Aye.
Ms. Gross.
Aye.
Mr. Kraus. Mr. Lavelle.
Aye.
Mrs. Strasburger.
Aye.
Ms. Warwick.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mrs. Cale Smith, President.
Aye.
9 ayes, 0 noes.
Thank you. The bills, having received the legally required number of votes, are finally passed. That moves us on to motions and resolutions. Oh, I apologize on this. And Councilwoman Warwick, I'm sorry, that moves us on to Councilwoman Warwick. Councilwoman Warwick, your committee for final act, votes for final act.
Oh, sorry, yes. Thank you.
Councilwoman Warwick presents Bill number 1641, reported to Committee on Innovation, Performance, and Asset Management and Technology for June 14, 2023, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill 1618, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of City Planning to enter into an agreement or agreements with Clupify, Inc. to provide a sustainable procurement platform software solution for a sum not to exceed $29,000 for 1 year.
Thank you. You've heard the reading of the title of the bills. Is there any discussion on the bills? Seeing none, the bills are now ready for final action. All in favor of the passage will vote aye when their name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess. Mr. Coghill. Ms. Gross.
Aye.
Mr. Kraus. Yes.
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle.
Aye.
Mrs. Strasburger.
Aye.
Ms. Warwick.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mrs. Cale Smith, President.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 noes.
Thank you. The bill, having received the legally required number of votes, is finally passed. Does Councilwoman Gross have any papers?
We already voted on the papers in my
You did,
committee.
okay. Wanted to make sure. Okay, and then that moves us on to motions and resolutions. And under motions and resolutions, I have a few meeting announcements. Due to the Juneteenth holiday, Council Standing Committee's meetings is scheduled for 1:30 this afternoon. And to register to speak, please fill out the sign-up form on the council meeting webpage or call the clerk's office at 412-255-2138 by noon today when speaker registration closes. Next week, council will hold the regular and standing committees meeting on Tuesday, June 27th, and Wednesday, June 28th at 10 a.m. respectively. Speaker registration will close at 9 a.m. the day of the meeting. To register to speak at these meetings, please fill out the sign-up form on the council meeting webpage. You may also call the clerk's office at 412-255-2138. Also, next Tuesday, June 27th at 1:30, council will hold a cablecast post-agenda discussion on domestic violence chaired by myself. And next Wednesday, June 28th, with sessions at 1:30 and 2 p.m., council will hold a briefing relative to updating the International Property Maintenance Code. With that said, I just want to thank everyone for the Juneteenth, for the work that our police, our special events, our city parks, our DPW, everybody who pulled in together and pitched in together to make a really fun, safe weekend in the city of Pittsburgh between Juneteenth and a concert and a gazillion other events. They did an amazing job in the city of Pittsburgh, and I want to thank them for that. But I also want to thank B. Marshall, who does an amazing job year after year organizing an event with thousands of people and absolutely no violence. And I think that he does a great job with that. So I want to thank him for that too and recognize his work. Is there anything from members? Nothing? With that, can I have a motion to excuse the absent member, adjourn the meeting, approve the minutes and adjourn the meeting?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.